This is actually a special year for the flower ceremony. It is the 100th anniversary of the very first flower ceremony in June 1922. The Reverend Norbert Chapek of the Prague Unitarian Church created this ceremony. He was looking for something to replace communion because he had a congregation of Jews as well as Christians, and he wanted a ritual that would make everyone feel included. Chapek, as we continue to do today, was seeking a more inclusive way of doing church. And here we are now, 100 years later. Now, he had found his inspiration to create the service in the wildflowers that bloomed along the roadways in Czechoslovakia. Flowers that have learned to survive even in difficult conditions. As Charlotte noted, for all that flowers are delicate, they're also tough. They find ways to bloom along those dusty roadways, through cracks in the sidewalk, along fences, even in dry deserts. And if you're paying attention when you're outside at this time of year, flowers are everywhere, from tiny violet blossoms in city parks to the lush iris that are in our rain garden. This time of year, flowers abound. Some are well tended, those annuals that we bring in each year into our gardens for their bright colors. Others spring up unasked, overlooked unless you're really paying attention. Some flowers are commonplace, others are rare. Harvey Broom was an American conservationist, and he was the founder of the Wilderness Society. And during World War II, at the height of the conflict in Europe, he wrote about finding a rare yellow lady's slipper on a walk. And Broom notes that the yellow lady's slipper is a very fragile and beautiful, delicate flower, but it must have ancestors which eluded fires and droughts and freezes to pass on in this lovely form the boon of existence. If a plant so delicately lovely can at the same time be so toughly persistent and resistant, can we doubt that hopes for a better world may not also withstand all assaults and come ultimately to flower? Flowers find ways to bloom through those cracks in the cement. Even in harsh conditions, we too can flower and flourish. People are as delicate, as lovely, as persistent, and resilient as blossoms. So that even though we may live in challenging times, our hope for a better world will come ultimately to flower. And to get there, we need not just that persistence and resistance of flowers, we need the diversity as well. And one of the reasons I love this flower ceremony every year is because it's such a visual and visceral reminder of the beauty of diversity. And it's easy to forget that beauty when the world's a bit of a mess, when we're all a little vulnerable. That's when we want to be with people who are like us, to have a safe place to shelter, and that's healing and healthy. But at times, likeness can also exclude. One of the ways people bond together is making it clear the difference between themselves and others. We're this way, and those people are that way. The cool girls like Justin Bieber, so the nerdy girls prefer April Lavigne. That's 20 years ago. I have no idea what the current reference point would be. Fill in. It's human nature to find your tribe through commonalities. And the trouble arises, of course, when those differences are used to judge and condemn, and when one group decides a difference, especially one that's just an inborn part of our identity, is abnormal or less than human. And we only have to open our eyes and look at nature to understand how utterly foolish it is to be like this. The maple tree does not wage war on the dogwood. The iris does not condemn the violet. Ecosystems are healthy when they are diverse. Life fades in monocultures. The bouquet of flowers is dazzling because of all the flowers. Some commonplace, some rare, some lush, some delicate. Each brings their own being to the communal bouquet, and they coexist. accepting and celebrating differences, guarding against those who condemn others for simply being who they are, that's a power we must continue to claim and enact. Diversity is health. Fragile flowers are stronger than they appear, blooming and persisting even in those cracks in the sidewalk. So on this day, let us celebrate the power of flowers and the power of people to bloom in harsh conditions, to coexist beautifully in diversity. So say we all.